Mother.
You recognize the mother. You recognize the parent.
Right.
Okay. Without God, we ain't brothers.
Say that again. Without God, we ain't brothers.
We ain't brothers or sisters or family.
Right.
Or better yet, human.
Right.
So the ancient African never believed in a God in the sky. We know. Please.
Right.
We were studying astronomy.
Right.
We knew what was in the
We
sky.
knew what was going on.
Okay. But the concept, the state concept of religion.
Right.
If there's this one thing that we all come from.
Right.
I don't have to know you. You ain't got to know me. This is the thing that we all know we come from.
Yeah. Right.
We can form a nation.
We can form a nation of that. If it's the almighty Ra is a representative, if it's the allegory that makes it easier for them to digest, if it's easier for me to explain it to my child and pass it down when I tell him he looks up at the stars, that's how I can define religion for everyone to get on one accord. And there doesn't have to be any beef in what I believe and what you believe, because when we look up, we see the same thing.
Akhenaten, Nefertiti.
Same thing.
Here's the Aten.
Yeah.
The Aten shines on us all.
Right.
You can go look at it. We can go.
Very simple.
Brings everyone together around one concept.
Great story. Great story. Right. And that idea, we're getting to, because just to go a little deeper without losing anyone, to go to the idea of energy and organisms. And then once you understand everything that is in the skies inside of us, and that we have that same power in the God within, and that even in explaining what's going on in the stars, from a novice standpoint, you can say you are that and I am that within the God within me. That concept should be easy enough for everybody to grasp, to say that we are all one, because ultimately, that's what we're ultimately trying to get to in this self-governed sovereignty existence, to say if we are all brothers under this one existence, this one source, that in energy is transferable and never dying, then there must be this easy concept for us to say we're all related, you're my brother, how do we coexist together? It
should be easy, but there's a word that we have to interject into our conversation. It's called imperialism.
Okay. that's a heavy one. I didn't know that was going to be the word.
Check that in.
Yeah.
Imperialism.
Because that doesn't come from Africa, or does it?
Well, everything comes from Africa.
Right.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. But the mindset or the concept of imperialism.
The way we're using imperialism, should I say white European colonialism,
right,
or imperialism, is what we're suffering from.
Yes.
The Carthaginians were also colonists.
Right.
The Phoenicians were colonists. The Egyptians, the Cushites, they all ran in other people's lands.
Right.
Setting up shop.
Absolutely.
But most people wanted them there.
It was an exchange.
It was an exchange.
You bringing this from your land, I'm bringing this from my land.
We allow you to stay here. You're not from here, but we want you here.
Right.
That's still a form of colonization. It's still a colony, but it's not like...
It's not imperialism. I'm taking over your land.
I'm letting off bombs, guns,
and sickness.
attack dogs, and sickness.
Right.
Okay, that's a different thing.
Right.
Now, when that's your society, the simplest things like you just mentioned are impossible.
Right.
I mean, they are literally impossible. Justice is impossible in a colonial society.
Right.
That's the first thing that goes away in a colonial society. We chilling, sitting here talking just like we are right now, and some people come through the door and rope us both up. You may fight.
I mean, I'm about to say we got to put some hands on them.
No, but look at our ancestors. Well, because look at some of our ancestors beat these people down. It was like, you don't care about them in history,
right.
but they got beat down. But imagine you chilling like this and somebody coming and a bomb goes off. Boom. You like this, yo, Nick, you all right? Yo, before you even know, dogs are coming. You fighting, they're smoking there. After a while, you're subdued through terrorism.
Right.
Now you can still be thinking, how am I get out of this? But you're subdued, you're roped up, you're seeing your people
against my will.
Against your will. Now, if this is how it started, things like justice, unity, God, mercy, forgiveness, intelligence, understanding. And when I say intelligence, I mean understanding. These things are impossible. So now we jump to another level, and not to get too deep into it. But there's a saying that says that in a society that is based on lies, you can do anything.
Wow.
So we're in a situation where the simplest things like peace, love, unity, joy, simple stuff.
Simple. Easy concepts that everyone wants.
And everyone wants to understand. You can't have it in a colonial situation. In fact, colonialism its presence is stepping on those things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we can't have that. But now, you mentioned God. Anything you give a God is good for a God.
Who? Okay.
Anything
you give to a God is good for a God.
Anything you give the devil is good. Bad for the devil. Like, in other words, you give the devil something good,
and he's gonna turn it bad.
Right. The devil something bad. He's gonna make good out of that.
Yeah, he's gonna do what the devil's supposed to do with it.
Boom. Your nature. Is your nature God? Yeah, my nature's God. So here's the poison. We want you to take this, and so on.
You right on top of it. I
so the God takes your poison in the mouth, gone. But guess what comes out? The cure.
Cure.
If you live in a society of lies, that means you can do anything.
Right.
You can be anything. You can basically let's leave the truth alone for a minute. Okay. Put the truth to the side. I'm having too much fun with these lies. With this fantasy. That's what it is.
Fairy tales.
That's the proper word.
Fantasies.
Fantasy. I'm having too much fun in the fantasy to face reality.
The Matrix.
Here we go.
Well, I don't even go this deep this quick.
You won't pick it up.
I'm ready, man.
This is what we got. So the question then becomes, first, and this goes back to leadership too, what kind of person are you?
Are you a god or you a devil?
Are you a god or are you a demon? Our ancestors used the word demon. To D-man. To not man. Man is man.
Right.
To a not man is a demon.
To take the humanity out
of you. To not be human.
Right.
That's the demon. The demon.
Right.
That's it. So either you that, and that's your nature too. Here's this cruel part to nature, to the universe.
The yin and the yang.
This is you, dog. This is who you are.
You can't have this without that.
Look, you the devil.
Right. Play your position.
Play your role. But you ain't faster than God.
Yeah.
Now we way faster than you. You go ahead and play the role.
You there just so people know that I am God.
That's what you need to say. That's the revelation. You there so that people can know who the real sovereign is. That's why you there. So
I'm gonna watch this about 1,000 times. I already know that. This is my sermon to get up every day. I can already feel it.
You've lived 1,000 times already, and that's why I thank you too for your contribution. I mean, look what you're doing to the fabric of history itself, to the actual fabric. We're coming up on Black History Month.
Yes.
February, and 400 years. This is the February we should be thinking about. Like, seriously,
for real.
Who are we? What do we achieve? What does it mean to be black? And is that even the title, black?
Right. Is that what we call it?
Is that what we call it? We need a convention that ends with our Constitution.
Wow. We do. That's real action. That's real action.
Right. Let's do that and talk about this in this way. I'm going to interview you. The idea of laws.
Right.
With a Constitution, we set out what our African American nation is.
Okay.
When we do that, we have a court system. We have our own courts.
Our own courts.
Okay, once you have law, you have a court. You just need a building. Okay, you want somebody to interpret the law.
With the Supreme Justice.
The Supreme Justice, right? He's going to represent the law. She's going to represent that law. So, what I'm getting at is, with our own laws and court, we cannot be arrested ever again. In fact, we start arresting people. This, I think, is the African American challenge going into the future, especially with the new president or a new president that's coming in. Is that when we talk about the protection of our community, the main issue is that we can't arrest others when they harm us.
Okay.
The law is one way in the United States.
We see that.
It's one way. It's white law on everyone.
Right.
But white people don't follow no one else's laws. Like the Native Americans as a nation, we should all be following their laws.
Their laws. It's their land.
It's their land. We should be following. African Americans should come together. Latino. What is the Latino law? I should know it, and when I'm in their community, follow it.
Follow it.
Their law probably should be competing with each other in law.
To come up with the best law.
The best law. That's argued among scholars, Latino, Native American, Asian, Persian.
All come to the table and say, our law is justified in this way. Can I see your law so we can help better everyone's law?
And now create global law.
Right.
And now we have peace on earth because we all, not this colonial, we come in with bombs and guns, get on your knees, that's the law.
Now, just take one area for a second, and because this is a real question that I often ask, in times like, or the Bilderberg Group, or Trilateral Commission. These are things that we're set up to believe are what the novice would call something like the Illuminati.
Yes.
But to your point, they believe that they're doing exactly what you just said.
Right.
Some of the most powerful people in Germany will come to this table. Some of the most powerful people in America. Some of the most powerful people in media. They all sit at a table once a year and discuss how to come together. That idea of a one world government has been embedded in our mind to be something of danger and something that, this idea of monotheistic, everyone on the same page, therefore everyone is ruled by one God, one understanding, which is extremely dangerous.
That's right.
But if everyone's at the table, that could be where peace and unity is. So I'm torn to when someone speaks of the Illuminati or even these real organizations that I just named, are they doing bad or are they doing good? Are they God or are they evil? or demons?
Well, when you mention organizations like the Bilderberg Group or let's just say the banks. That's what they are. That's when you say Trilateral Commission or
the central banking system.
The central banking system, that's basically what that is.
Right. Or money, men of power.
Money, same thing.
That's what I mean. Because the only thing is when we say banks, then we start talking over people's heads. And you're like thinking, Chase and JP Morgan. I'm saying right now, the people with all the bread are sitting down making rules for us way above Donald Trump's power.
Those who named Chase Bank.
Right.
Okay, these guys.
Right.
Rockefellers, JP Morgan. These guys.
Right.
Bob Marley said something interesting. He said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop the time. Stop here. Bars. Bars. The prophet spoke.
Indeed.
Okay. These groups, are not above nature, the universe, and God.
Natural disasters prove that every time.
Every day. When we look at these groups, we are looking at what they are advertising themselves to us as. This is a propaganda and perception game.
Indeed.
When you get into it, and forgive me, those that are listening, I'm not going to expose the deeper.
That's going to be on another session. We just scratching the surface right now. But I need it.
I'm not going to give away some of the symbols of Freemasonry in this public forum.
Because other than it wouldn't be what it's established to be.
Respect, to the organization. But I can say this. Deception is what rules nations. Go back to the fantasy. You can have whatever you want in a fantasy.
You got to paint the picture.
But that fantasy is based on deception. Now,
the devil's greatest trick is proving that he never existed.
Well, that's bars. Well, these groups, they are designed to deceive. There's no truth in them. So the one who is...
Except to say, hey, look over here.
That's about it. That is you're trying to get my direction over here.
That's the Illuminati. We got to hate them.
Right.
They're the reason why I'm failing in life.
Right. These rich... The 1% is the reason why I'm failing in life.
Instead of self-reflecting.
Well, my wife has an acronym that says blame. Because looking at me ain't easy.
That's a powerful queen you got over there. Because looking at me ain't
easy. Blame. And this is the point with blame, is that, no, you are the master of your reality, if you can understand that. You live in a fantasy, if you can understand that.
The Matrix.
So then you ask yourself, with all this crime that has been going on, and all of this, and go back to your question about these societies and so on, none of them is above nature. None of them. So as long as you know nature, God, the universe, or should I say this? God, universe, nature. That's your gun. G-U-N, God, universe, nature. Remember that gun. Put a weapon in your hand. God, universe, nature. That's the gun you fight back with. Wow. When you have that gun in your hand, nothing. They say, do, are, be, nothing. Now, how do I know this? Hip-hop.
Bring it back.
1970s, all these organizations was against us. Every last one, secret societies we knew about.
Right.
Government agencies.
FBI, CIA.
Imagine the...
KKK.
Go back on this. The entire strength of this colonial system was against our parents.
Right.
The entire... Not just one agency.
The entire
government was against our parents that had nothing except one gun. God, the universe, and nature. They defeated that government. The government you have now exists because our parents destroyed the last one. The enemy is never going to tell you when they lost. No, it's up to the winners to say they won.
To write the history. Win and write history.
We won. There was a war that went on from after the Civil War. In fact, the Civil War never ended.
Never.
But right after the Civil War on the battlefield,
Reconstruction
jumped off. And I wouldn't even call it. I mean, that's just
reassemblization.
Yeah, you know what? Reconstruction is the word in history. Emancipation, procrastination. Proclamation. That's also the word in history. Right. So we use these terms, but the point is that the war never ended. And our people are not fighters. We're not that. We're artists.
Right.
We're the nerds of the world. Could you imagine?
We have so much power that we don't have to enforce it.
We don't have to. We are the truth itself. Imagine, they're fighting against us just being.
God don't fight.
God don't have to. Go back to hip hop. They had everybody against us. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that one day you racists are going to be sitting, Eminem is going to be sitting with Dr. Dre. That's what he said. I have a dream. Okay, then one day, Third Base was going to be doing a concert with De La Soul.
Beastie Boys and Run DMC.
Beastie Boys, and why can I forget Beastie Boys and DMC? But imagine now, either we're going to look at Dr. King, and say, oh, that was just a fun speech. His speech came true.
All the way.
All the way true, and it came true in us. So here you have a man speaking in 1963. He's talking to the nation, to the world. He says, I have a dream of human unity, where we all can come together. Look at the vision of this is African-American enlightenment.
The promised land.
The promised land. This is it right here, okay? Now, only a few people supported Dr. King when he gave the speech, after he gave the speech, and when he died, or was killed. The prophet is never welcomed in his own home. And so we look at the words of our prophets, and I'm just saying Dr. King, Liz Garvey, Kwame Ture, Malcolm X, and others. I mentioned them. We can look them up and you know them. Martin R. Delaney. But we don't heed their message. We don't heed their message. And it's not a criticism of our people. We've been trained to be objective to our education. So even though we learn about our ancestors, we never become them. We can learn all day about great men and women of our ancestry, but we will never continue them.
Because their energy is eternal.
Their energy is with us right now. You can tune into it. Right. But if you got a word like Illuminati in your head, that very word.
Blockage.
You can't see nothing. They run everything. They are God.
They're more powerful than I am.
They're everything. They're sitting back, just like you are watching the same television you watch. Right. And they're just as afraid. They click on, a Revolt TV.
If they only knew how much power they had. That's what they really say.
They watching, they say, yo, if they only knew.
If they could just bring it all together, they'd be a dangerous force.
Here's the part. Don't let them know. Don't let them know the power they have.
Let's keep them confused.
Keep them confused. Keep them arguing amongst each other.
Throw some more media.
Throw some media. And this is the sick part. Okay, here's the sick piece. It's not our children that are affected by this. These are intellectuals that are affected by this.
Facts.
The smarter you get, it seems the dumber you get. The smarter our intellectuals become, the more cowardly they become. This has something to do with this colonial education we're getting, because I know some great black minds. I'm in the university system. I see these minds. I talk. People, great minds. But that paycheck is going to dictate what's going to come out that mind. Or come out the mouth of that mind.
And the paycheck is based off of that other piece of paper that they got to affirm their paycheck.
I got a master's degree.
So therefore I get paid more.
I get paid more.
Therefore I'm controlled by your system.
I know the truth. Let me not speak it right now.
No, because I can't. I got to feed my family.
Right. Now, feeding your family is way more important than speaking the truth to a people that's going to treat you like they did Dr. King. If there was a reward to speaking truth, more people would.
Indeed.
Well,
that's not where the bag is. Like we said, the bag is in the fantasy.
See, that's what it is. And so here we are. We're summing up the issues of leadership. We're summing up the issues of that word sovereignty and what the real issue is with our people. Education has a lot to do with it, of course. But we don't need education. We don't need this education.
Because we have wisdom.
We have being.
Right.
We are. And the more we love who we are, you'll do fine in the fantasy. You'll do fine. Now, some of us, we like to dabble into the truth every once in a while. We say,
that would be me.
Let's get to the truth and see what it really, really is. Those are the leaders. Those are the people, and not just those who stay in the truth, but those who can differentiate between truth and fantasy, right and wrong, good and evil, good and bad, discipline and evil. Those that can do that are the leaders. But that's not a thing that's done. That's a thing that's lived through principle. So when the principle is established, the leadership will come out of that principle. There's our leader right there. Our leader is watching us right now. And she is probably deciding. They are probably deciding what type of leader they can be. And let me also say this. It'd be really interesting.
What's that?
If black people, and this is controversial, I'm gonna bring this up. This is controversial. This is totally it right here. If black people, African Americans, hired white leadership. Now here's why. Because the idea of race, which we might not be able to have time to get into here, but the fictitious idea of race is something that African Americans are going to have to deal with as well when we talk about leadership and building our nation, because the concept of race is a colonial concept in and of itself. So in a paradox, for us to have...
We flip it on its head.
If we flip it on its head, we're back to white leadership or some other leadership other than ourselves to prove that our community is beyond race.
What the past community.
What the past community.
So, but isn't a quick way to fix that, even just to put it on lame terms, I always say, we all going to be beige anyway.
Word.
So why does, if we all, we have the same level of melanin in the next few generations.
You solved it. That's it.
Right.
Then let's redefine black.
Right.
Human is black.
Original man.
Original man. Okay.
And that's what we're trying to get back to.
Right.
And ultimately, that's the trajectory
and
where we're going.
White people as well are black.
Right. So and they just lack pigmentation or lack melanin.
Which is the truth, by the way. Just on another level.
And that's lack melanin, which therefore they have these insecurities or these insufficiencies, scared of that powerful sun that we embrace. So that's...
Oh, wait a minute. No. They also have efficiencies. They're willing to unite around that inefficiency. We can't seem to.
They have to.
And so they have to unite around that inefficiency. And the way I wish we was white.
Because then
we would unite finally. What is the reason for black people to unite? There is none. We are the world. That's what we...
And we have too much ego.
That's a whole nother thing.
But the idea, if we know who we are and we know what we can overcome, why do we need to come together?
Back to spirituality. See, religion does lead to individualism. Your personal relationship with God. We are brothers in a state religion because the religion says the sun is where we all come from. You see the sun, we all brothers under the sun. But it's the sun that's uniting us. I'm still an individual. And nature is weird like this because nature produces individuals. The retina in your eye is only yours.
Only mine.
My fingerprint is only mine. There's only one KRS.
Right.
There's only one Nick.
But it's all created by the one mathematics.
Right, which makes us one. We all have two arms, like, right. As you used to say back in the days, arm, leg, arm, leg. Okay. Allah, right? We all Allah.
Yeah.
Okay, but are we? And this is nature. This is the breathing of nature, the yin and yang of nature. Night and day exist at the same time. It's just how the earth is going. The fist is the hand. Oh, it's the palm. Like, where did the fist go? The fist is still here. Where did the hand go? The palm go? No, everything's still here.
It's the perception.
Perception. So how do we perceive ourselves? How do we perceive our nation? How do we perceive the future? And if you and I can unite on how we see things, we create reality. And that's freedom. To create your own reality. That's the
I'm living my own truth.
I'm living my own truth. Or in this instance, for civilization, we are living our truth. That gets back to now, whether it be a religion, a group, or something. it seems like that is what we have to deal with because of the nature of the environment we're in. But you touched on something. Individuality is still important. It's very important.
Right.
And there lies the unanswerable question that leads to being as opposed to knowing.
And then the purpose, hopefully, is to commune, to create a community, or the unity with, is because if we don't commune, then we no longer exist.
Right.
So even as much as we want to be individuals and have our own beliefs, every organism needs another organism in order to keep going forward. So I would take that concept and going back to what we originally started to talk about, how leadership, how do we get together? Just to touch on universal law for a second. So if we're going to talk about law, there are things that are established that we know that they're concepts. No matter what religion you believe, there's things in this universe that gravity.
That's right.
However you define it, we got to operate in faith. However, these are things that some people call karma. These are things that are all a part of universal law that have been established by the Most High for us to deal with. Is that something that we can at least be a blueprint, pardon the pun, to actually start to operate from? If every person understood the concepts of universal law, that seems where you take that imperialism and that colonial European colonial mindsets out of it and say, no, this is, and I often liken to the Asian community or the East Asian, or whether it's Hinduism, whether it's Buddhism, they seem to operate under the more concepts of universal law and finding oneness and to need nothing is what true happiness is. Touching on that, because then you get outside of the paper chase and trying to secure the bag, but it's more about, I don't need anything. And ideas of like tangible, material, money doesn't make me happy. Happy makes me money. Happy gets me those material things. Happy puts me in a place to where I can give to others and do for others and be more of a light than a sound.
Right.
And knowing that as a light, I can operate on a frequency, but I don't have to be the frequency. Right. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the answers. I like to frame the questions and put it where it needs to go. But that would be where I would start from. But again, you're the philosopher, you're the teacher. I'm the
philosopher. That was heavy right there. I mean, no, you're dabbling with this individuality versus the collective, and this is one of the oldest arguments there is. Confucius versus Lao Tzu. Most people go with Lao Tzu and the idea of, in other words, Confucius was about the state. Happiness is found in serving the state. That's right. Confucius. Happiness is found in the community.
Right.
Lao Tzu, no, happiness is found in the mountains, in the forest, away,
alone,
in that sense.
Hey, Moses and Jesus had to go to the mountain.
Right, to gain that, right. Again, I think this comes down to character, where, Jesus said, my sheep know my voice. The leader is not the leader for everybody, but to not call your group is failure. Like to not call your people together, to not call your family, the like-minded ones, together. Nature brings us together and rips us apart. And see, that's why I say there's no answer to that. You are a philosopher, there's no answer to that. It's really a revelation on reality that we are both these things, a collective and an individual at the same time, that we are both irresponsible and responsible. I am my brother's keeper. I am, yet I can't be. No man can save another man. But I am my brother's keeper.
Yeah, that's all how you look at it.
Right.
It's that paradigm, the light shines through it, it's going to say different.
And this is touch on, you go back to what you're saying about wealth, riches.
Yeah.
And that, now, of course, it's easy for the rich to say you don't need money.
I made that mistake once, and everybody got at me. Like, if you guys only understood it's not about money. It's like, yeah, I'm a rich nigga, that makes a lot of sense. But
I put that disclaimer on.
Yeah, but because I've had that revelation that, and as a simple concept, Biggie had it as well. More money, more problems. But when you understand the responsibility that is on one's shoulder, when everyone's using you as the generator, you're the plug, and they're plugged into you, and they're sucking out of you, they're draining you, and if everything in life is energy, and I would say energy is currency, but what people don't understand, it's not the paper, but it's the idea to know that you have that to be able to do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
The plug, and they're plugged into you, and they're sucking out of you, they're draining you, and if everything in life is energy, and I would say energy is currency, but what people don't understand, it's not the paper, but it's the idea to know that you have that to be able to do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
Like I said, right now there's only 3% in circulation of actual paper money.
Right.
Everything else, it's just numbers in code.
Faith.
So that's not that. It doesn't matter how much of the actual paper I have. It's the energy behind that paper that people know he's worth a lot. Forbes said of the actual paper I have, inflation of actual paper money. Everything else, it's. But when you understand the responsibility that is on one's shoulder, when everyone's using you as the generator, you're the plug, and they're plugged into you, and they're sucking out of you, they're draining you, and if everything in life is energy, and I would say energy is currency, but what people don't understand, it's not the paper, but it's the idea to know that you have that to be able to do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
Like I said, right now there's only 3% in circulation of actual paper money. Everything else, it's just numbers in code.
Faith.
So that's not that. It doesn't matter how much of the actual paper I have. It's the energy behind that paper that people know he's worth a lot. Forbes said he's worth this, so I'm gonna give some more on a bank because it's documented somewhere he's worth this much.
The rich get richer,
and that's the way it continues to function.
Well, there's something to be said about human nature about this, because the rich get richer. What you just said was interesting. It's like you say right, people are more apt to give money to rich people than to poor people. It's
the old concept.
The rich get richer, but there's something about human nature that wants to unite with success. And go back to this part about having money. Now, of course, true wealth is health. True wealth.
Learn that.
Okay, is health. Without health, we're poor. Okay, that's the bottom line.
Brinks trucks, don't follow hers.
Nobody. Okay?
You can't take it with you.
Well-being, peace, health. We just established that's your true wealth. But we live in a fantasy. And I can't front. I like the fantasy.
I love the fantasy.
In the fantasy, you have a game to play. Now, this is the political game with money, okay? It's better to have a society run on money than on race.
Okay.
Because
it's an equalizer.
It's an equalizer. Now, I don't like it, okay? I'm not a banker. I'm not a person who thinks about money all day in that sense. It's not my business. But in this game we're playing called the United States of America.
Monopoly.
If you on this Monopoly board right here, okay, if you on that board, you are urged to make enough of these tickets called dollars. You are urged to do this because if you do this, we will treat you like a human being.
The great equalizer.
Great equalizer. Look at the sickness though, because you have these papers. We will treat you like a human being.
Right. Which I should already be treated.
Okay, we're in a fantasy here. Okay, so at the end of the day though, there used to be a time that even if you was rich and black, you still could not go in. You still could not be part. You still was unprotected. Your property could still be taken. You got money. You rich. Your color stifling you. Now we at least creeped from racism to currency to money.
Yeah.
We went from racism to money, and that's what we went. This country, there was no before. We went from a racist society to a greedy one.
Right.
So now we're greedy.
A true caste system.
Caste system. Here we are now. Right. We went from racism to caste. We call it class.
Right.
But caste system, and thus the Aryan and all of that. And okay.
Right.
In this system, though, you are treated humanely if you are of the higher caste, which is determined by how many tickets you have or can produce, how much credit you have in the society,
Which is debt.
which is the debt. How invested are you in the society?
What side of the debt are you on?
Are you on? So there's these people who don't need money. They don't operate in the money system. They give the money to us.
Yeah, right.
For us to run around and try to get in there.
But they're beyond it.
They're beyond the money. Now, China taught a good lesson in the early part of 2000, 2001, 2002. If some will recall, that the president, I think it was Bush at the time, it could also be Obama as well. I heard Obama say this as well, President Obama say this, that China was abusing the economy by making its yuan, devaluing their yuan.
Right.
Their
On purpose.
On purpose. Okay, they were making it less because you could sell more of them to other countries. The banking, it was a total,
And our banking system was going to crash because they were
devaluing their money. Now, hold that thought. A few more years back, 90s, Nike, they got sweatshops in Indonesia somewhere. True indeed. But when you look at the Indonesian economy, you learn a valuable lesson. It's not taking anybody off the hook here. But look at China. Then I go to Indonesia. China. A family of 5 could live on $10 a week. In America, we look at that as poverty as opposed to great wealth. Then imagine for what we do for $100, they do the same exact thing for 10. Who's wealthy?
they're wiser.
If you can feed everybody in this room, and I'm talking about chicken, right?
We eat.
We getting that, okay, for $10. Because the whole economy is low. Look, somebody brother with the camera comes in and says, I want to hire both of y'all. You say, hey, to get me, it costs $13 an hour. I say, listen, I'm doing it for $2, my G. Who gets the job?
You get the job.
Boom. So China not only got the jobs of the world, they took the banks of the whole world. Okay, took one in Africa where the source of all world wealth is.
Right.
They in Africa.
Greatest mineral rich land.
Everything comes out of that place.
Right.
Okay, all world economies.
Yes.
China went right to the source of the world economy and set up a new colonization plan. They in Africa right now.
Right now.
Now, do we call it colonization? Because the Africans are getting rich. Africans are inviting the Chinese in. Investments going down. Ain't nobody slaving over there. There's African lawyers, doctors, engineers, they getting money. Okay? But it is colonization.
It is.
But it is colonization. There's a foreign government in your land taking your resources. They paying you. Right. And you getting yours, but they're taking yours. There's going to be nothing for your children.
Yeah, they're not hijacking you with guns. They're hijacking you with material.
Who are you then? Becomes the question. Who are you? Are you that material dude that can be bought like that? Because there's other Africans there that are now called terrorists that are saying, we don't want none of these people in our country. We're willing to take armed struggle against them. They're called terrorists. So either you want to be that, because you say we ain't allowing no colonialism in our country.
Or you want to be complacent and go with the pattern.
Complacent and go with world domination. Contribute to world domination. But then if you know, as the king, you say, wait a minute, this shit's a fantasy. The whole thing's a fantasy.
It can't be real. You guys
this is not real. You guys ain't real. And none of this is real. So at the end of the day, go ahead and take the oil fields. Go ahead and take this. And why? Because the true African resource, or should I say black resource in this instance, outside of color, the true human resource is the mind. We never lost our lands. We lost our minds. We never lost land. The land is still there. We don't have the mind to go get it.
That's another bar. That's another bar.
We need the mind to go get the land. It's just that we lost our land.
Complacent and go with the pattern.
Complacent and go with world domination. Contribute to world domination. But then if you know, as the king, you say, wait a minute, this shit's a fantasy. The whole thing's a fantasy.
It can't be real. You guys
this is not real. You guys ain't real. And none of this is real. So at the end of the day, go ahead and take the oil fields. Go ahead and take this. And why? Because the true African resource, or should I say black resource in this instance, outside of color, the true human resource is the mind. To world domination. But then if you know, as the king, you say, wait a minute, this shit's a fantasy. The whole thing's a fantasy.
It can't be real. You guys
this is not real. You guys ain't real. And none of this is real. So at the end of the day, go ahead and take the oil fields. Go ahead and take this. And why? Because the true African resource, or should I say black resource in this instance, outside of color, the true human resource is the mind. We never lost our lands. We lost our minds. Terrorists that are saying, we don't want none of these people in our country. We're willing to take armed struggle against them. They're called terrorists. So either you want to be that, because you say we ain't allowing no colonialism in our country.
Or you want to be complacent and go with the pattern.
Complacent and go with world domination. Contribute to world domination. But then if you know, as the king, you say, wait a minute, this shit's a fantasy. The whole thing's a fantasy.
It can't be real. You guys
this is not real. You guys ain't real. And none of this is real. So at the end of the day, go ahead and take the oil fields. Go ahead and take this. And why? Because the true African resource, or should I say black resource in this instance, outside of color, the true human resource is the mind. We never lost our lands. We lost our minds. We never lost land. The land is still there. We don't have the mind to go get it.
That's another bar. That's another bar.
We need the mind to go get the land. It's just that we lost our land. Africa right there.
We didn't lose our land. We lost our mind.
Brother, that's what it is.
Wow. And okay, so we went super deep.
take our way out.
To really back out and just and we'll take another play on words because people don't know the first blueprint came from KRS-One. I would like to just for our audience and for people who are truly seeking knowledge and want to be independent thinkers, a quick blueprint on how to get more of this type of information, so we can feed our community with just some tidbits and the idea. Like, so you brought me a care package of knowledge, but I would say if you had to for the young people that are watching, a few books that deal with a lot of these topics, that a good introductory to the world of supreme understanding and understanding the knowledge itself. What would you recommend just if somebody, what's the KRS-One book club, if we were going to join?
Wow, the book club. I start my own books.
Right.
And not arrogantly.